focusing on soil-borne anaerobic actinomycetes. His group started a systemic program that led to the discovery of streptomycin, an antibiotic credited with saving the lives of millions of tuberculosis patients all over the world. Since then, his group at Rutgers, as well as students in various educational and industrial research laboratories, went on to discover thousands of antibiotics, which include almost all the powerful drugs such as tetracycline, erythromycin, chloramphenicol, amphotericin B, and vancomycin. Traditionally, the term antibiotics has been used for the antimicrobial agents derived from microorganisms. Since a number of antibiotics currently in use are actually synthetic, the term antibiotic has become synonymous with antimicrobial agents used for the treatment of infectious diseases. Classification of antibiotics. Classifications. From a structural perspective, antibiotics can be divided into several major categories. Penicillin, initially isolated from the mold Penicillium species. Penicillium is categorized by the presence of the beta-lactam ring in the core structure. Penicillin is therefore also called beta-lactam antibiotic. The beta-lactam ring is sensitive to the enzyme beta-lactamase, produced by a wide range of bacteria. In an attempt to develop a more effective drug, over time, the original penicillin, penicillin G, has been repeatedly modified. So penicillin, also known as the beta-lactam. Alright. Newer penicillins include penicillin V, ampicillin, methicillin, and ticarcillin. But the beta-lactamase problem still persists. Penicillin is easily absorbed, and apart from the anaphylactic shock noted in some sensitive individuals, its side effects are minimal. Fun fact, I'm actually one of those individuals. So, penicillin and its little beta-lactam ring is not for me. But, it's good for everybody else. It was a breakthrough in science. So, anyways. Greater research is needed to overcome its beta-lactamase-related deficiencies. Its mechanisms of action involve blocking the reaction that leads to peptidoglycan crosslinks and subsequent formation of the cell wall. Without the cell wall, the bacteria have poor chance of survival. So our next one is the cephalosporins. Cephalosporins are produced by the mold Cephalosporium. They are also characterized by the presence of a beta-lactam-like ring. But cephalosporins are relatively more resistant to classic beta-lactamase, though they are sensitive to a different kind of beta-lactamase. Advances in research on cephalosporins have led to the development of concentrations of this antibiotic. They have a broad spectrum and are often used in penicillin-sensitive individuals. Their mechanism of action is similar to that of penicillin. Cool. So now we have our polypeptides. If I can write it, polypeptides or glycopeptides. Right. Polypeptides are a family of powerful antibiotics that include vancomycin and bacitracin. Vancomycin is produced by Streptomyces orientalis and bacitracin by Bacillus subtilis. Vancomycin is the most actively against gram-positive bacteria, including methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus or MRSA. Very bad infection. Vancomycin is also considered a last resort drug in managing a number of infectious diseases. Its mechanism of action involves blocking the transpeptidation reaction by binding the D-alanine terminal sequence on the pentapeptide portion of the peptidoglycan and the eventual inhibition of cell wall biosynthesis. So, a common trend here that we're seeing is, these antibiotics interfere or disrupt the process for the bacteria to form their cell wall. So that is a very common method of action for these antibiotics, which makes sense, right? If you're a bacteria and you got a leak, you're leaking out here, eventually you'll just shrivel up into nothing. Your guts will leak all over the place. But yeah, not quite the same mechanism, but it's the idea. So next is aminoglycosides. Glycosides. Alright. So, these are characterized by the presence of amino sugars linked by glycoside bonds. Figure 2. They include streptomycin, neomycin, and gentamicin. Never heard of that one. Produced by Streptomyces griseus, Frediae, and Micromonospora puree, respectively. But I never heard of it. I wonder if that's is that a funky? Interesting. Anyways, newer agents include dopamycin and amikacin. For several decades, streptomycin was the only antibiotic effective against Mycobacterium tuberculosis, the principal causal agent of tuberculosis. So really quick, we can just look at these. So you have the amino sugars. Interesting. Alright. Yeah, so this is the core structure of streptomycin. Okay. Aminoglycosides are bactericidal and are also effective against gram-negative bacteria. Due to widespread resistance in Mycobacterium strains, the usefulness of streptomycin has been greatly, though not totally, diminished. The mechanism of action of this group of antibiotics involves blocking protein synthesis in bacterial cells by binding with the 30S subunit of the ribosomes. Aminoglycosides can be toxic with severe side effects leading to kidney failure and hearing loss. tuberculosis is still the main one that they try to give. If they suspect you have tuberculosis, but it's like multiple weeks of treatment. It's just not good for you. But it's better than tuberculosis. Okay, so the next one is tetracyclines. Okay. So tetracycline's original tetracycline was isolated from a strain of Streptomyces aureofaciens. It is characterized by the presence of 4 or tetra interconnected rings. That's right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 rings. Previous page. Okay. Minor changes can be noted in different derivatives. For example, doxycycline has an extra OH group. The tetracycline group of antibiotics is bacteriostatic, hence an active immune system is essential in order to successfully treat an infection. Now remember, bacteriostatic means it just kind of pauses the bacteria. It doesn't actually kill it right away or prevent it. That's why it's saying that you would have to have a healthy immune system for this to be effective, because you're pausing the bacteria from, spreading, and then your immune system can go and finish it. So, these are broad-spectrum antibiotics and useful in treatment of infections by gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, rickettsia, chlamydia, and mycoplasma. Their mechanism of action is similar to that of aminoglycosides. Macrolides. Macrolides. Okay. These are characterized by the presence of a lactone ring linked to 1 or more sugars. Right here. Erythromycin, produced by Streptomyces erythraeus, was the first commonly prescribed macrolide antibiotic. It's actually very interesting. That's usually what they give me, is erythromycin, since I'm allergic to penicillin. I didn't realize this is the category it was. Pretty cool. Where was I? Okay. It is a broad-spectrum antibiotic effective against gram-positive bacteria, some gram-negative bacteria, Legionella, and Mycoplasma species. Azithromycin and clarithromycin are newer macrolide drugs, which have surpassed erythromycin in their usage. Like tetracyclines, macrolides are also bacteriostatic antibiotics. Their mechanism of action involves binding to the 23 ribosomal RNA of the 50S ribosome subunit to block protein synthesis. Quaaludes, I don't know. Quinolones is what I'm gonna call it. So, quinolones are synthetic antibiotics. See figure 5 right here. So they are synthetic antibiotics. The best known examples are ciprofloxacin, levofloxacin, and oh wow, that's a tough word. Moxifloxacin. These are broad-spectrum antibiotics and active against enteric bacteria, so bacteria in your guts, as well as against Haemophilus and Neisseria species, and also show a varying degree of activity against Streptococcus pneumoniae and Pseudomonas aeruginosa. The mechanism of action includes inhibition of the DNA replication by blocking bacterial topoisomerase. Since bacterial topoisomerases are different from mammalian topoisomerases, the mechanism of action is fairly selective. Now we have polyenes. Polyenes. Okay. So polyenes are produced by Streptomyces species. Polyenes are characterized by the presence of several alternate bonds and fused benzene rings. It's right here. It's right there. Wow. Interesting. You can see all the alternating bonds right here, the alternating bonds. They are classified as tetrane, pentane, heptane, and so on. The best known example is amphotericin B, which is a heptane. Amphotericin B is often used for the treatment of invasive mycotic diseases, including invasive aspergillosis, zygomycosis, histoplasmosis, and coccidiomycosis. Drug resistance to amphotericin B is not common. However, it is highly toxic to the host and is not absorbed by the system. The mechanism of action involves forming a complex with ergosterol in the fungal plasma membrane, which results in membrane leakage. Other well-known polyenes, including nystatin and candicidin. So again, kind of all leads back to this, forms leakage in the cell. This is a cell membrane, because it's a fungi. As long as you can get the wall or the membrane of that organism destroyed or leaking, it's gonna die. It's kind of like a person. If you start bleeding, if you get a hole in you and you keep bleeding, eventually you're gonna, So, it's the same principle. It's just done chemically. Very interesting. Alright. So next we have the pardon me, okay. Metronidazole. The metronidazole. So, metronidazole is a nitroimidazole compound that is also known as Flagyl. It is a synthetic antibiotic with a rather small molecule. It is effective against several anaerobic bacteria, including Gardnerella vaginalis, Clostridium difficile, and a number of pathogenic protozoa such as Giardia, Lamblia, Antiamoeba, Histolytica. Did I skip a page? Yep. Histolytica and Trichomonas vaginalis. It is not active against gram-positive bacteria. The mechanism of action involves the initial reduction of metronidazole molecules by protein cofactors from microaerophilic bacteria. The reduced metronidazole. This word is gonna get me off. Okay. Metronidazole molecule cuts DNA molecules in a random manner, thus causing the death of the cells. It's an interesting mechanism. screen. Okay. So, azoles are a relatively new class of antifungal agents. Their discovery and development has been primarily prompted by the toxicity of the amphotericin B, the only therapeutic agents available for the clinical management of systemic mycotic diseases. Currently, they account for the largest number of antifungal drugs used for the management of a wide range of mycotic diseases, from superficial to systemic infections. Azole rings are typically characterized by an N-linked methyl group formed by added halogenated phenols or similar groups. You can see that in figure 7. N-linked methyl groups. The phenols. Interesting. Azoles are basically fungi-static. The mechanism of action involves blocking the synthesis of ergosterol, a vital component of the fungal cytoplasmic membrane. Several imidazoles interfere with cytochrome peroxidase and catalase activities, causing an increase in the level of hydrogen peroxide in the cells. Based on the number of nitrogen atoms in the rings, azoles can be divided into two groups: the imidazoles and the triazoles. The imidazoles have two nitrogen rings in the ring, or two nitrogen atoms, excuse me. They have two nitrogen atoms in the ring and include clotrimazole, micronazole, iconazole, and ketoconazole. Of these, miconazole is mostly used in topical preparations for the management of cutaneous and mucocutaneous candidiasis. In contrast, the triazoles have three nitrogen atoms in the ring and include fluconazole, itraconazole, and terconazole. Fluconazole and itraconazole are used orally for the treatment of some of the systemic mycotic diseases. A lot of hard words in this section, guys. Doing my best. Okay. A couple more antibiotics. Or just, chemotherapeutic agents. So next we have the mebendazole. Okay. Mebendazole or methyl-5-benzole is a synthetic agent with broad-spectrum anti-helminthic properties. The core structure consists of an imidazole ring linked to a benzene ring. And figure 8 here. The mechanism of action involves the interruption of glucose uptake, resulting in the termination of ATP production and the subsequent death of the helminths. In addition, or alternatively, mebendazole binds with tubulins and interferes with the functioning of the microtubules by blocking the assembly of tubulin dimers into tubulin polymers. As a result, motility of the helminths is seriously impaired. Interesting. It's a different method of action. So next we have the avermectins. I've heard of these. I heard of these all the time. Avermectins. Ivermectin. So avermectins, commercially marketed as ivermectin, which ivermectin is most common, are microlide-like compounds produced by the bacterium Streptomyces avermiculatus. In a classic sense, it is an antibiotic that has anti-helminthic properties and is widely used in agriculture to control nematode infections. Oh wow. Not what I expected. In humans, it is primarily used lymphocytes. Its mechanism of action involves interfering with gamma-aminobutyric acid or GABA synapses into the nervous system in the helminths, resulting in their paralysis and removal from the host. Ivermectin is also known to interfere with the reproduction in adult females. A single dose of ivermectin is considered enough to eliminate microfilaria for at least 6 months. Oof, that is serious. In addition to the treatment of filariasis, ivermectin is effective against several other helminths, including Ascaris, Trichoris, and Enterobius species. Oh, this is a nice little summary right here. Okay. So, a summary for the mechanisms of action. Most antimicrobial agents hit a specific target in the microbial cell. Examples of cellular targets effective antibiotics are the following. So for the cell wall, we have penicillins, cephalosporins, bacitracin, and vancomycin. For protein synthesis, that mostly work by blocking the 30S and 50S subunits of the microbial 70S ribosomes. So these antibiotics include tetracyclines, chloramphenicol, aminoglycosides, and erythromycin. So these stop stop the cell wall developing. DNA. There are several ways certain antibiotics can attack microbial DNA, either by directly damaging its integrity or by interfering with its replication. Examples include fluoroquinolones, rifampin, metronidazole, and sulfas. Oh yeah, they didn't even... I wonder if I missed something. I didn't even read about the sulfas. And then we have the cytoplasmic membrane. So certain antibiotics damage microbial cytoplasmic membranes. Examples include polyenes, polymyxin B, and azoles. See if interesting, it just doesn't talk about sulfas. Okay, well, I mean, azoles are part of those, but alright. Well, everybody, I think that's where we're going to end that video. Thanks for watching. If you learned anything or, got relaxed in any way or just had any pleasant feelings taken away from watching this video, please feel free to like and subscribe and comment down below. Comment if you like the whispers, if